Que es verdad que yo ahora mismo no me veo con 35, no, con 35 años no me veo jugando. El tenis es un deporte muy exigente mentalmente.
Carlos Alcaraz had just lifted the Australian Open trophy, completed the career Grand Slam, and written another chapter of tennis history. And yet, in a quiet Spanish interview afterward, he said something that surprised a lot of people. He doesn't see himself playing until 35. It wasn't said dramatically, no controversy, just honesty. Alcaraz spoke calmly about how demanding tennis is, how much it takes physically and mentally, and how he doesn't imagine extending his career deep into his 30s the way some legends have done. In an era defined by longevity, that statement hit differently. Because right now, tennis fans are used to players like Novak Djokovic still competing for Grand Slams at 38. Rafael Nadal won majors well into his 30s. Roger Federer played until 41. Longevity has become part of the GOAT conversation. The longer you last, the more you win, the more history you stack. Alcaraz seems to see it another way. For him, the focus isn't how long he plays. It's how well he plays while he's there. He has spoken before about enjoying life outside tennis, about not wanting the sport to consume everything, and about protecting both his body and his happiness. This interview simply made that philosophy clearer than ever, and it raises a fascinating question. Can someone become the greatest of all time without playing until 35? To understand the debate, you have to look at history. Pete Sampras retired at 32 with 14 Grand Slam titles. At the time, that number seemed untouchable. Björn Borg walked away at just 26, already with 11 Grand Slams and 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles. Many still argue that if Borg had continued, tennis history would look completely different. Even Serena Williams, who played into her 40s, often spoke about how difficult it was to maintain motivation and physical health over such a long span. Longevity helps, but it isn't the only path to greatness. Alcaraz is currently 23 years old with 7 Grand Slam titles and a completed career Grand Slam. That's not projection, that's reality. He has already achieved things that many all-time greats never did, and he's done it at an age where most players are still searching for consistency. If Alcaraz were to retire at, say, 30 or 31, he would still have 7 or 8 prime seasons ahead of him. That's a long time in modern tennis, especially considering his current pace. What makes this discussion even more interesting is the style of tennis Alcaraz plays. His game is explosive. Heavy sprinting, extreme changes of direction, high physical intensity on every point. That style puts a lot of stress on the body. Unlike players who rely more on flat ball striking or serve dominance, Alcaraz's success is built on movement, defense to offense transitions, and relentless pressure. It's fair to wonder whether that style naturally leads to a shorter peak. But history also shows that peak matters more than duration. Roger Federer's most dominant years came before 30. Nadal's most physically imposing tennis was in his 20s. Djokovic extended his prime longer than anyone, but even he had a clear physical peak that defined his dominance. Alcaraz may simply be acknowledging that reality early. Another key difference is the mental side. Alcaraz has been open about how emotionally demanding tennis can be. The constant travel, the isolation, the pressure. Winning doesn't remove those things, it often amplifies them. For some players, chasing records becomes fuel. For others, it becomes weight. Alcaraz doesn't talk like someone obsessed with numbers. He talks like someone obsessed with playing good tennis while enjoying the process. That doesn't mean he lacks ambition. It means his ambition is structured differently. He wants to win big. He wants to compete at the highest level. But he doesn't want to sacrifice everything else in his life to do it. And ironically, that mindset might help him win more, not less. A relaxed player lasts longer mentally. A happy player recovers faster. A player who isn't terrified of the end often performs better in the present. The GOAT debate, then, may need a new lens. Instead of asking how many years someone played, the question becomes, how much did they dominate while they were there? If Alcaraz wins 12, 15, or even 18 Grand Slams before turning 30, does it matter if he retires early? Would his impact on the sport be any smaller? Tennis history suggests it wouldn't. Bjorn Borg's influence remains massive despite his early retirement. Sampras was considered the greatest for over a decade after he stopped playing. Greatness isn't erased by walking away, it's defined by what happens before. Alcaraz's interview didn't sound like someone planning an early exit. It sounded like someone setting boundaries, protecting himself, thinking long-term in a different way. At 23, he's already rewriting expectations. Maybe the future GOAT doesn't need to play until 35. Maybe he just needs to play better than everyone else while he's here. And right now, Carlos Alcaraz is doing exactly that.